really interesting fight night card coming up this weekend. We're looking forward to it. You got Pedro Munhoz taking on Frankie Edgar in the main event at 135 pounds. Kicking off the card from the UFC's Apex facility in Vegas. They have to pay for that $100 million facility some way, somehow. And it's with fights like this between two guys making their respective UFC debuts. We have Matt the Jedi Semelsberger taking on Clutch Carlton Munhoz. I'm really looking forward to this one because both guys primary strikers. If you look at Matt Semelsberger, maybe see the record, maybe see the odds stacked against him. You're sleeping on him. He currently sits at a plus 225 underdog. You've got Munhoz coming in the minus 285 favorite. And it's a bit of a surprise to me because you look at these guys, and Matt Semelsberger, orthodox fighter, kicked off his pro career in 2017, decided he had the opportunity to continue in university or college. He went to Marist College. He was a strong safety for 4 years there. Had the opportunity to finish off that collegiate career, said, no way, I'm going to focus on MMA. In his amateur career, went really well, but he capped it off with a knockout loss to William Knight. You might recognize that name, UFC developmental deal winner, I guess you can call it winning. You're on the developmental path, but he lost that fight at light heavyweight. He is a middleweight by trade, rather welterweight by trade. And if you look at his string of his last performances, really well-rounded, lots of great striking on a tidy little win streak. The fights that I kind of went back and really put a lot of stock into, his last one where he got a great knockout over Rich Palachnik, and hopefully I pronounced that properly, but if you go back and watch that, Palachnik goes for the takedown, doesn't get it, they clinch, they move around, switch positions, and it's Semelsberger going in for a nice jump knee, finishing it off with a 3-punch combo, had the guy knocked out on the feet, throws a short elbow, wha-bam, and now you get a UFC opportunity. Now that was back in February. This is a guy that trains out of Crazy 88 MMA in Maryland, has a really good training partner in John DeBrugel, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, similar weight class. You're not going to find big name training partners from there, but I can see glimpses that this guy's better than just what his record shows you at 6-2. 4 wins by knockout or TKO, 1 by sub, 1 by decision. Out of the losses, the 1 by knockout, 1 by sub. So there's a chance he gets finished. On the other side of the equation, Carlton Munhoz, you look at that loss and you think, well, who was that to? It was to Rick Story. Yes, Rick Story that competed in the UFC. Carlton Munhoz came in on short notice in the PFL, lost that fight by submission. All kinds of great wins, 6 by knockout or TKO, 1 by sub, 3 by decision, his 1 loss by submission. He's a great stand-up fighter, really moves well, trains out of Avalanche Wrestling in Anchorage, Alaska. Alaska's own, we've seen a lot of big names from Alaska, and Carlton Munhoz has fought them in AFC, where you see a lot of Alaskan prospects come up through. He's got a win over Justin Buchholz. It was a really good account of himself, and if you watch a lot of Carlton Munhoz fights, you'll see a pattern. Really good movement on the feet, really good in and out. He can throw great combos moving forward. He can mix in a nice kick to the body, to the leg, to the thigh. He does a great job. It should be a great striker's paradise type of fight. What do you make of this one in the respective UFC debuts?
So it's interesting because I would definitely classify both guys as strikers overall, but you look at the way that they are strikers, they're just equipped a little bit differently because Semelsberger, what he's going to be able to do, he throws in his kicks a lot more, and especially at the end of his combinations, but that's the problem. I think he might get caught with it because Carlton Munhoz, I think he has the boxing advantage out of these two guys, and if he is able to keep the range close enough so the leg kicks, or not even leg kicks, just body and head kicks, there won't be as much of a threat about it moving forward. So the game plan for Munhoz is throw those leg kicks, try to use your boxing, get him up against the cage, which much easier said than done. This is a very entertaining fight, though, to really get the card started in a great way.
It's one of those interesting ones that I would almost liken to a heavyweight fight where we had 2 regional guys coming in, and Chris Dawkins and Parker Porter, and we said for Parker Porter, and it's funny because it came true, so I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but with Parker Porter, he's going to close the distance with the overhand right, going to want to, really establish himself in tight, whereas with Chris Dawkins, boxing combinations, peppering those leg kicks. We saw that happen. Chris Dawkins gets the knockout win in the first round. Maybe that happens for Carlton Munhoz. Again, I mentioned the odds. You've got Semelsberger sitting at a plus 225 underdog. You've got Carlton Munhoz at the minus 285. He's lost. He opened as a minus 365. So Semelsberger is gaining here. Over on Tapology, very limited sample size, 98 votes. You can't even look into it. But the majority going with Munhoz to get the win by decision. I see a path to that. I really do. If it's going to be a fight like that, you're going to see a frustrated Semelsberger really trying to gain, not able to get it. We see that with these guys that are power over technique. but I will go with Semelsberger in this fight. I really think he's going to be able to close it. I think he's going to be able to manage quite well. It's a fight where we've seen it in the past, a CFFC fight at CFFC 74. He won a split decision. I thought he won 2 rounds in that fight, but either way, he's been taken down. When he's on his back, he's quite busy, but when it's standing, that's where we get to see his bread and butter. It should be a great fight. I'm going Semelsberger. How do you see this one?
So I'm actually going to go the other way. We don't normally get cards started off in different directions, but I do think the boxing of Carlton Munhoz is going to be a problem for Semelsberger, and I do think if he is able to, and I think he used the great word, frustrate him and just keep that pressure going, don't really let him unwind with his combinations and his kicks, I do think there's a clear path for Munhoz, but I do think this will be a good one.
Matt, really looking forward to this card. We have an extended look at our main event between Pedro Munhoz and the former lightweight champ, Frankie Edgar. You're not going to want to miss that. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. As we always say, let's get into it.